Smiley Day Geeks. Welcome back to the Geek Center Show. I'm Josh.
I'm Anna.
And in this video, we're talking about Critical Role Campaign 3, Episode 12. If you haven't seen it yet and you want to avoid any spoilers, skip this video and come back later because everything we say from this point forward is going to be a spoiler. Boy, oh boy, was this a long episode. And it was. And I would think, even though they have the first half and then the break and the second half, to me that this episode really kind of breaks into like three sections, and that's like the shopping where they're buying potions and stuff, the shopping where they're buying clothes and stuff, and then crafting, and four sections, the end. Crafting and then the end.
Yeah, it did feel a little segmental, but I get why Matt did that, and I think he wants next episode to be the ball in its entirety. And I am looking forward to that because every time they have an elaborate event that they dress up for, it's always fantastic. Like, I am thinking specifically the Mighty Nine on the ship when they discover Essek is undercover agent. Like, shit happens at formal events.
And we'll get into what I think is going to happen at the ball here a little bit later. Right now I want to talk about there's some lore drops in this episode. First, let's talk about fresh cut grass. It was a really interesting moment where Imogen suggested that he had this memory that, oh yeah, I do remember whatever killed my associates had one eye. And so she's like, okay, well, think about the moment. And she goes into his mind. And he took 2 points of, I guess, psychic damage?
Yeah, I don't know. It's obviously something that him and Matt have agreed upon based on his character's backstory, because Matt just said, you take 2 points. And everybody's like, whoa, wait, what? What happened? And Sam knew exactly what he meant. So this is obviously something to do with whenever his character tries to access memories from before they met Ashton, I guess.
I have some thoughts. I don't know if it's that FCG is so traumatized that they have built up this figurative, but kind of almost literal mental walls that they causes them pain to think about. Or, I mean, FCG is an Aormaton. They are clearly much older than what they know. This could be something that's part of their original programming.
Like, also, we don't have a whole lot of information on Aormatons. FCG,
almost none.
Yeah, FCG could be an Aormaton in the sense that somebody went to Aor, discovered the tech, and built them. That it doesn't necessarily mean that they are super duper old.
I think it'd be really interesting if they were.
It would be really interesting if they were. I actually kind of, after this episode, because Matt told Imogen that it was almost like somebody who's dealt with trauma and has a wall up blocking that information, and that it's something she's come across before.
And they're not ready to deal with it.
Yeah, and they're not ready to deal with it. Kind of makes me think, and there's a couple of other things, but that one there kind of made me think maybe FCG is not like robotic. Exactly. Like, yes,
they're not a robot?
They're a robot, but like I think they have a soul. Like they are.
They did talk about that a little bit this episode.
Yeah, like they keep talking about like I don't think FCG's a robot in the sense that people think. Like, I think that they have just as much of a soul as any person. So they have feelings and thoughts and ambitions, and there's just program overriding that.
But specifically because FCG was polymorphed.
Yes,
and you can't polymorph an inanimate object, and they talked about that in this episode.
Yeah, you can't polymorph a chair into a turtle. It doesn't work.
Right.
So if FCG didn't have a soul and wasn't a humanoid, a person of some...
A creature of some kind.
A creature, a living being, they wouldn't have been able to be polymorphed into a turtle.
And all of that stuff was, to me, one of the most interesting parts of the entire episode.
Yeah, I have a feeling that FCG has a very rich and complex backstory that is tragic and is going to tear all of our hearts out because Sam.
And for Laudna, we got information, but if you've seen Vox Machina, it's stuff you probably already knew. Imogen did some research for Laudna and found out like kind of a little more history on the Briarwoods, how they were run out of Wildmount and ended up in Whitestone, and took over and killed the Derolos. It's stuff that if you've seen Vox Machina, you're pretty much already privy to.
Yeah, and I kind of love that, like, obviously the whole cast is privy to everything about Delilah and the Briarwoods, but like...
Doing a good job of not metagaming.
Yeah, they're doing a great job of not metagaming that, especially Marisha. Because Delilah is her patron, and Marisha just, like, gets right into Laudna mode and is like, oh, could you look up the Briarwoods? Like, doesn't... Like, she's not metagaming at all. Like, she has all this information about Delilah and the Briarwoods, and she's not utilizing any of it, and it's fantastic.
And Imogen had another dream in this episode, and this time the Loomis twins were in it.
Yeah.
And that was really, because the Loomis twins have died a while back, and when Bertrand died, she had that dream.
It was almost premonitory.
Yeah.
Since it was like
as it happened, yeah.
So slightly premonitory.
So is there something about these people that are triggering the dreams? Or is it something that because they're prominent in her mind that she's dreaming about them? I'm really interested to find out what's going on with that.
Because our original theory was that she dreamt of Bertrand because they're related somehow, as in he's probably her grandfather. And now I'm not so sure about that, because now with the Loomis twins, I don't feel like blood relation is the thing.
No.
I think it's the journey, and I don't know how Bertrand ties into that, but I think it has to do with people dying. Like, they have to be dead for her to dream about them, which means that she probably, even though it kind of happened at the same time, dreamt about Bertrand right after he died. And whatever this journey is that's leading them all together, this draw of destiny.
And she seems to think that maybe her mother does not want her to investigate this any further.
Yeah.
Because her mother in the dream keeps telling her to run. And I think she does. She runs every time.
Mm-hmm.
I think in one of these dreams, she's going to go into the storm.
Yeah.
It's going to be very similar to Travis with Uk'otoa when he was holding the sword over.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those moments.
Speaking of the storm, can we just give some mad props to Laura for her role playing during the storm dreams? Like, her gasping, and she is Imogen in those moments. Like, she ceases to be Laura, and she is Imogen for those moments, and they are so good. Speaking of RP, I've noticed probably just the last couple of episodes, but I'm sure if I went back and rewatched, he's been doing it since the beginning. But Liam is really good about doing subtle cues to the audience that Orym is little. Like, reaching up and grabbing stuff when people hand it to him, and be like, hey, he just does little things in his interactions, in his body language, that remind you that Orym's a little teeny tiny. Ashton's
different.
Yeah. Ashton's complex. Ashton is very complex. Like, they have layers. I like how Ashton has a persona that they try to pass off that is not Ashton.
Yeah.
Specifically, the asshole thing. Yeah. They're an asshole, yet they're the one who buy a doll for Pate so that he has a tux for the ball, for Laudna. And
just gives Laudna 125 gold as she's walking out the door, just in case you don't have enough.
Yeah, exactly. Always has a, asshole vibe, and he always takes FCG's money, yet anytime FCG needs something, it's taken care of. They take care of that. The I don't have friends, yet initiates the what the fuck is up with that icebreaker. I just rewatched the first episode, and they're the one who initiated introductions in the group. They're like, let's just go around and introduce ourselves. They're the one who did that. They're the one who got breakfast sandwiches for everybody. Like, they are a walking contradiction, and there is shit going on.
And they have this, you know, hey, I'm an asshole. I don't like anybody, but I'm also the mom of the group.
Yeah.
So
Ashton is definitely the mom to this group, taking care of everybody. They are the mom friend.
It's, you know, it goes beyond like a duality of a person. There's like multiple facets to Ashton.
Yeah. And I absolutely believe that it goes back to the nobodies and their time with them, and like I definitely think that there's a lot more that happened with the nobodies than just he got injured and they left them. I feel like that was the worst case of something like that happening. I don't think it was the first case of something like that happening. I feel like they put up with a lot of bullshit because they didn't have any other friends, and this is just what they had to deal with.
Speaking of the nobodies, they did kind of nix the idea of the new nobodies, which I like because I do not like that name.
Yes.
And they kind of workshopped a few other names. I like focus group, you know, focus, group, ! I think that's kind of a great name for them because they do have a really hard time focusing.
Yes, they do.
And their name being a reminder that they have to focus is kind of hilarious.
Like,
I'm there for it.
All of their plans, they come up with a plan, and then like 5 minutes into the plan have all completely forgotten what that plan is and just go off the rails. Like, it's just, focus group would be great.
And one of them was like FCG and the Pussycats, which I think was just a joke, but it's kind of hilarious, and I wouldn't be surprised if that ended up being their name.
I kind of like it. I like it better than the new nobodies, obviously. I did not like that name at all. And I liked it better than some of the other names they were spitting around, like Hell's Bells, which I don't hate, but I don't love.
Well, it's Bell's Hells.
Or Bell's Hells, that's it.
And Bell's Hells. Putting hell as a plural just doesn't make grammatical sense, so I don't like it.
Although that does kind of work. It tracks.
Still don't like it. And we kind of, sort of got some lore for Fern, but not really, which kind of tracks with Fern. But they did briefly talk about, you know, does she know, or why does the Nightmare King know of the Callaways? And are you worried about it? And she's like, no, well, maybe Grandma dated him. Like, she kind of blew it off like it wasn't a big deal. And I really think that Fern just doesn't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, and I do think that Fern doesn't think it's a big deal, but I also think that a lot of that conversation was just her lying. And I think it's just because it's like a habit, but everybody failed their insight checks, so we have no clue if she was telling the truth, if she was lying, if she was exaggerating. No clue. I do think it's interesting, though, that she brought up that only her grandma talked about the Nightmare King. And that kind of leads me down the, well, maybe they dated. And I'm like, maybe they did.
Like, that came out as a joke.
Yeah,
but it seems like it might be a thing.
Yeah, it fits. It works. Although I'm still kind of on the track that the Nightmare King is from the Shadowfell. Corey Shoemaker, who left a comment on our episode 11 video, that the Nightmare King knows the Shadowfell version of the Callaways, not the Fae version of the Callaways.
That's cool.
Yeah, like the Nightmare King had a lot of similarities. EXU spoilers here for like the next 30 seconds. Had a lot of similarities to the crowned fern, where when they were cut, like smoke came out as opposed to blood. There was just some similarities, so that like maybe it's the Shadowfell version, not her Callaway. Like I don't know how interconnected the Fae and the Shadowfell are.
So we've never visited the Shadowfell in Critical Role.
I don't think so. We might have with Vox Machina.
I don't think we
but I
did.
don't think so. Yeah.
No. I'm almost positive that we
and
haven't.
I haven't
so
really
I don't know what
read,
Matt's Shadowfell would be like.
Yeah, I haven't delved that deep into the Tal'Dorei campaign setting because I do have those books because I'm going to TM for that. So I haven't delved that deep into it, but from that comment, it was the Shadowfell is kind of the inverse of the Fae. It's like the darker version of the Fae. So that's a possibility too, and I really like that.
That's terrifying. A darker version of the Feywild.
A darker version of the Feywild and a darker version of the Callaways and Fern. Although, like, I don't know with the time being tricky thing, if Fern's gonna be a problem or not, because.
and with time being tricky, I mean, maybe to the Nightmare King, he knows the Callaways, but maybe the Callaways haven't met him yet, as far as Fern knows.
Yeah, exactly.
So because
time's a weird soup.
Time is a weird soup, especially when you're traveling to and from the Feywild and the Shadowfell and everything else.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap up talking about the ball and the preparation for the ball. You wanted to talk about Ashton's outfit, his ensemble.
Yeah, like, so at first when they all go, when they pick out their outfits, I'm like, oh, okay, something cringe, that tracks, that works for Ashton. Like, if Ashton were just looking around at all the different styles that are available, being immediately attracted to the asymmetry and sharp lines of the Kryn dynasty, like I'm picturing Essek here, that tracks. So I was not really surprised when they went with that. But then, like, Taliesin had a whole train of thought that everybody else fucking missed with that. Because he not only got that, but then they got gloves and boots and made sure that they were completely covered, no skin showing, and then did this mask that's going to completely cover their entire face except for their hair, with the eyes cut out, and then this big creepy smile half sewn shut that's going to resemble the Nightmare King. And, like, I need art of this. Please, God, artist, I cannot wait
Stephanie
for your
Brown, please.
interpretation of this. But two, it's such a great, like, undercover thing, because one, it fits their personality. Like, you don't have to talk with them for very long to realize, okay, this outfit kind of tracks, like, this fits. It's not that weird. But two, it's also, if anybody has hired or working with the Nightmare King, they should have a response to this outfit, and that is so fucking clutch.
And Ashton's head's gonna be on a swivel this ball, seeing how anybody reacts to that costume. And the group is gonna split into two groups for the ball. One group is gonna go with Lord Esteros, one group's gonna go with Dorian. And Dorian's group has been assigned a task to switch out a ring so that they can track and monitor.
Yeah, and speaking of Dorian,
I don't know about that group. I don't know if the people that's going with Dorian are up to that task.
Yeah, like, I agree with Imogen. Imogen should be there. I don't know about Fern, but
I'm okay with Fern being there because if somebody's going to take that ring,
she could probably
she's the
get
one who
away
can
with
probably
it.
do it.
Yeah.
And if she gets busted, she can play it off, and she's really good at that.
Yeah. And then, like,
there's got to be some muscle there, and it's Orym.
Yeah, it's Orym.
I think it would be better if Ashton was there.
But yeah, I kind of the same. Like, I wanted Orym and Ashton to be on there, but I get the idea of splitting up their tanks because those two are the two tanks of the campaign. So yeah, they do need to be split up. But I get why they didn't, because he's, Ashton's going to be dressed as the Nightmare
all eyes
King.
are going to be on Ashton.
So,
do you want
like,
that in that
situation? Do you want that as your up front?
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about Dorian's outfit change. When Dorian was going to the ball as Dorian, as himself, he had such a fun, flirty outfit planned. As soon as he decided that he was going to go as nobility, and not just nobility, as his real identity, as Bronte, like, it just gives you such an insight to how much he hates being that person.
Yeah, like he was excited for the ball, and now he
Yeah,
really
he's
doesn't seem
not,
like he wants to go
yeah,
at
he's
all.
not that excited for the ball. His outfit is now sharp and clean and plain,
And the one he was
not,
going to use, he just threw it in the bottom of the wardrobe.
yeah, like, guess I
Like,
don't get to
don't
be
remember
this
that.
person anymore, which really, it
It's kinda
felt like,
heartbreaking.
and it felt like foreshadowing to me,
Mm-hmm.
that I think Dorian is leaving soon, and I don't want him to leave, like, ever, but I definitely don't want him to leave this soon. We're only 12 episodes in, but it really just felt like he's throwing away Dorian to become Bronte, and then Bronte is going to be the one who's leaving, and then we don't have Robbie anymore, and I don't like it.
If/when Dorian does leave, I don't think he's going to be gone for good.
I hope not. I hope he comes back, because I really like Dorian, and I really like his dynamic with the group, and I'm sure I'll like the next guest too, but I really like Dorian.
I think Robbie's going to be Dorian is going to be a returning guest.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
So I think they'll Dorian it'll be a lot like when Pike came in and out all the time, and when Yasha came in and out all the time. He'll have a reason that he has to leave, but then they'll run into him again later, and he'll journey with them for a little while. I think that's the way Robbie's going to work. Only when he leaves, they'll phase in somebody to fill that gap at the table.
Yeah, I hope so, because I want more Dorian. I love his interactions with the group.
His dynamics with everybody. I love him with Chetney, and they have like this rivalry where Chetney was picking on him all the time, and now they're like buddies. I totally ship him with Laudna because I love the reverse Beauty and the Beast thing. I think that's amazing. I think his relationship with Ashton, I think that a little bit of that showed through in this episode. Where I was like, oh man, they're kind of buddies.
Yeah, like I feel like Ashton wanted to be part of his group so that they could protect him.
Yeah.
Like, that's the vibe I got from when Ashton was like, I'll be in your group. Yeah.
But I do agree that the throwing the outfit in the bottom of the wardrobe, I think that is a bit of foreshadowing, and Dorian's probably leaving sometime in the next 2 or 3 episodes, probably.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited for the next episode, the ball.
Yes.
I don't think we're going to do a separate video for predictions. So what's your prediction for the ball?
They're gonna fuck up Plan A. They're gonna fuck up Plan B, and they're gonna wing Plan C.
My big prediction, Lord Estros is going to get assassinated at the ball. That is my prediction for the next episode.
I do think Ashton will be recognized as the Nightmare King by somebody.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's going to be a lot of drama there. And I think way more is going to happen than just a ring switch. Like you said, possibly Lord Estros gets assassinated.
Because he doesn't go in public.
Yeah.
And he's so obsessed with, nobody gets into his house without his approval, and everything's trapped and blah, blah, blah. He's going out in public. Something bad's going to happen.
Yeah. But things happen at balls. So it'll be interesting to see what all happens.
I think that's all we have for this video. If there's anything that we missed that you think we should have talked about, let us know down in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please let us know by dropping a like on it, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already.
And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.